Welcome to the 8D problem-solving process e-learning solution. This video clip is just an introduction to the 8D problem-solving process. If you are interested in the complete e-learning module, you can purchase that from our website www.oec-us.com and then go to OPEX Academy. So let's start with our short introduction into the 8D problem-solving process. The A-to-D problem-solving process is most likely the most widely used problem-solving process out there. It's used in many different countries, by many different industries and many different organizations. The process itself was actually created in 1974 by the Department of Defense. And that also made it into the military standard 1520, a corrective action and disposition system for non-conforming material. Unfortunately, while the process is very effective, there were not many problem-solving tools integrated into this process. So therefore, the Ford company revisited this process in the late 1990s and added very efficient and effective problem-solving tools into this methodology. Sometimes this refined or improved version of the A-to-D problem-solving process is called the global A-to-D problem-solving process. And this process then really became not just a global standard for Ford and for the automotive industry, but also in many other industries and organizations. And you see here it's used in many different companies. A short list you see on the bottom of the slide. You will find food manufacturing organizations, healthcare, high-tech industries. Those type of organizations use the A-to-D problem-solving process today. Many organizations are using that obviously to solve problems internally, but also to respond, for example, to customer complaints with creating an 8D problem-solving report and submit that then to their customers to show them that they have understood the problem, identified the root cause of the problem, and then put effective and efficient countermeasures in place to make sure the problem doesn't reoccur. Also, many organizations are asking their suppliers to use this process to respond to issues, quality issues, or customer complaints in general. The general objective and key learning points of this e-learning solution is to show you how the A-to-D problem-solving process works. We're also going to use some simple case studies to show you how to apply the different problem-solving tools that are integrated into this process. So key learning outcomes are to understand the A-to-D problem-solving process. And by the way, the D actually stands for disciplines, because you will see the A-to-D problem-solving process follows 8 steps that you would go through to properly solve a problem and define the root cause and establish then corrective and preventive actions. So we will talk about those 8 phases, and we're going to describe the purpose and the objective of each phase in this process. And we're also going to look at the most commonly used problem-solving tools that organizations use to perform this process. And you will see some problem-solving tools are actually integrated into this process. So they are mandatory to use. And that is really what makes this process so efficient and effective. Those tools that are integrated and teams are using them in a certain order to identify the root cause of a problem and then establish corrective and preventive actions. There are other tools that some organizations add to make this process even more efficient and effective, and we will discuss some of them, and I will show you some examples of how you can apply those type of tools. At the end of each section, you will then see like a checklist and assessing questions that the teams would go through at the end of each phase or at the end of each discipline to make sure that they did everything that needs to be done in that specific phase. So we'll talk about those assessing questions and summarize the phase by doing so. Sometimes when organizations want to implement the ATD problem-solving process, they're facing some challenges, and obviously you have to think about that and see how you can overcome them. But what we are really trying to accomplish here by implementing a systematic problem-solving process for teams is to overcome the firefighting that you sometimes find in organizations and move to more problem solving. So we not just want to fix the symptom of the problem, and we will discuss later on what does that mean, but we really want to understand what is the problem we need to solve and what is the root cause, or what are the root causes of that problem. So that is the only way that we can really make sure that the problem doesn't occur again, and then we have the same, for example, customer complaint. We also want to make sure that we are moving away from perceptions or beliefs or emotions. We think somebody was at fault and that's the reason why we have the problem. And we kind of want to become more data-driven and really look at what type of information can we find about the problem we are trying to solve. And then how do we analyze that data so it helps us actually to identify the root cause. And then when we really understand what is the underlying root cause of the problem, then obviously we can really make sure the problem doesn't reoccur. Rather than just, for example, fixing the symptom and then we just wait until the problem occurs again, because we really didn't understand why the problem occurred in the first place, and that's the reason why it comes again and again and again. So once we then have identified the root cause, then we are able to develop proper solutions or countermeasures to tackle the root cause or the root causes of the problem. So one challenge we have to overcome is how do we move our organization or our teams from this firefighting heroic mentality to more systematic team-based problem solving, and that helps us to go from a symptom to the problem that we really need to solve, to the root cause, and then to proper solutions or countermeasures. So that will be one challenge we have to often overcome in organizations that have not used a systematic problem solving approach before. Another challenge that you may face is that people think they are so busy that they don't really have time to properly solve problems. And we always find the time to solve the problem or the same problem again and again and again, but we never seem to find the time to actually understand why does the problem occur and what can we do to prevent that in the future. And then a third challenge that we have here is that we need to create a sense of continuous improvement. Sometimes people say that, hey, if it's not broken, then why do we fix it? But obviously everybody lives in a very competitive environment. Our competitors are getting better and better and better, and we also have to find ways to get better and better. We need to solve our problems, we need to improve our processes, and the 8D problem-solving process can play a very important role in doing so. Let's first talk a little bit about problem-solving terminology, because if you think about how to solve a problem, then any problem-solving process really has to do the following things for you. And the 8D problem-solving process does that very efficiently and very effectively. So any problem-solving process starts with a symptom. Now, what do we mean by a symptom? A symptom is, as you see here, a quantifiable event or effect, something that an internal or an external customer experience. For example, a product doesn't work, or a delivery is coming late, or the invoice that you receive from a company is wrong, or you received the wrong product. We would call that a symptom of there's somewhere a problem that we may need to solve. To tackle the symptom, we really need to understand the underlying problem. You know, why do we see that symptom? What's the problem that we need to solve, and to make sure that the symptom doesn't occur in the future? So here you have a definition of a problem. A problem is a deviation of an expectation or standard, a perceived gap between the existing state and the desired state. So a difference or a gap or a deviation between what you get from a process compared to what you should have gotten from that process. So we need to figure out a way, how do we get from a symptom to the problem that we really then need to solve. And I'm going to show you obviously later on how you can do that using the AT problem solving process and the tools that are integrated into that process. Now, once we understand the true problem we need to solve, because that problem is responsible for the symptom, we need to figure out a way to identify possible causes. What are the possible causes of that problem that causes that symptom? And there you will see there are different tools that you can use, like process variables mapping or brainstorming or fishbone diagram, to identify possible causes of a problem. Now, once we understand what the possible causes are of a problem, then we need to narrow those down to what we call the most likely causes. So what is the most likely cause, or what are the most likely causes of the problem that we're trying to solve, that again then resulted in the symptom that our internal or external customers saw? And again, there are different tools that you can use to go from a large amount of possible causes to a smaller number of most likely causes. And then obviously we need to get to the root cause or the root causes. Some problems have only one root cause. Some problems, some difficult problems may have a combination of, for example, two root causes that happened at the same time, and as a result caused the problem that then caused the symptom. Again, there will be different tools that we're going to discuss that you can use to identify the root cause, and then also to verify that a most likely cause is really the root cause of the problem that you're trying to solve. So any problem solving process really has to get you in a very systematic and efficient manner from a symptom that triggers the whole 8D problem solving process execution to the problem that we really need to solve. From there we're going to go to identify all the possible causes of the problem, and then we're going to reduce that to the most likely causes, and then finally to the root cause. So we'll use this language here throughout the e-learning solution, so you can, we will show this slide again and again, or you can go back to this slide just to recall what do we mean by possible cause, what do we mean by symptom or problem. While the 8D problem solving process is a very effective and efficient way to solve problems, not every problem can be solved with this process. There are some problems that organizations have to improve their performance that requires more advanced methodologies than the A to D process. So that's why many organizations, in addition to the 8D problem solving process, also implement lean management and Six Sigma. Those are two more advanced methodologies that, together with the 8D problem solving process, then enable organizations to solve all kind of problems they may face, or to make different type of improvements. So we don't have the time to look at the other methodologies, but we also have e-learning solutions around them. So let's focus here on the A to D problem solving process, which is really the foundation for lean management and then also Six Sigma. Now let's look at some of the benefits organizations see as a result of deploying or implementing the A to D problem-solving process. One key objective organizations have is to really build what we call high-performance work teams. Teams that are able to solve the problems by themselves. So they don't need the management, for example, to help them to solve problems. They can do that themselves. So these A to D problem-solving teams play a key role in these organizations that are developing these high-performance work teams by educating people in how to solve problems, do a proper root cause analysis, and then empower them also to implement corrective and preventive actions. Another benefit is also to achieve process excellence. That means we are creating and continuously improving our processes to deliver whatever they're supposed to deliver all the time and every time. Yeah, that could be a manufacturing process, that could be a process to treat a patient, that could be a process in a hotel to check in the customer or a guest in a timely manner. So world-class organizations, they are focusing on process excellence, and the 8D problem-solving process, provides them a standard process to solve problems. So it's easy to bring teams together when a problem occurs, and they have a systematic process or methodology to tackle those problems, and also tools available to do that. And then obviously another big one is customer satisfaction. To stay in business as an organization, we need to make sure that we have happy customers, internal customers or external customers. And we need to make sure that they are not facing problems that we have caused, or if they are facing a problem, that we are taking proper and quick actions and making sure that those problems don't occur again. As I said, we're not just going to look at those 8 phases or 8 steps or 8 disciplines of the 8D problem-solving process, but we're also going to look at the tools that are integrated into this process. And as I mentioned earlier, that was really one reason why the 8D problem-solving process then became so widely used, because of the tools that Ford integrated into this methodology to make this process more efficient and effective. And obviously, the more tools you have, the more you will be equipped to solve problems, identify root causes, and put corrective and preventive actions in place. So we will look at 2 sets of tools. The tools that are integrated into the 8D process, and then some other more advanced tools many organizations use to even further strengthen this process. And I'm going to show you what those tools are and when to use which tool. To start the 8D problem-solving process, we need a few things. And sometimes this is called the phase 0 or discipline 0, which makes this a 9D problem-solving process. First thing what we need is that we need to make sure we have a symptom. You remember, a problem-solving process always starts with a symptom. Something that an internal or external customer experience, and that shows us that we have a problem. We may not exactly know what is the problem. We only know that there is a problem that causes a symptom that then leads to a customer complaint. So the symptom needs to be defined and quantified. That's the first thing we need to do. We need to understand what is a symptom. We also need to make sure that the customer who experienced that symptom has been identified, because we need to make sure that we properly understand, what is the customer complaining around, or what is the issue, and make sure we can investigate that. So we need to have the customer, internal or external, that experienced that symptom. We also need to make sure that we have quantified the system. Measured the symptom that we have here, or in any shape or form, we have identified or measured what that symptom is that we're trying to tackle here. The causes of that problem that cause that symptom obviously need to be unknown. If we know what causes the problem that then causes the symptom, then this becomes just do it exercise. So we don't need a problem-solving process to, for example, put countermeasures in place if the cause of the problem is known. We also need to make sure that the management, the functional management, the management of the organization is committed to properly investigate this problem and make sure that we are identifying the root cause and then put proper corrective and preventive actions in place. So we need to make sure before we start an 8D problem-solving process that we have the management support. Because once we get to implementing corrective and preventive actions, very often you will need management commitment or management buy-in or management support. So make sure you have that at the beginning of the project so you don't run into issues then later on. And while you can use the 8D problem-solving process as an individual, it's really designed to support teams to solve problems. So in most cases, you want to make sure that the problem or the symptom that is a result of the problem is complex enough so it cannot be solved just by one person. So it really needs an 8D problem-solving team that we're going to establish in the first step or in the first phase or discipline. So these are 6 key things you want to make sure you check on and they are fulfilled before you actually start initiating an 8D problem-solving process project. And here you see now the first time the 8 phases or the 8 disciplines of the problem-solving process. The first one is establishing a team. We just decided, hey, this problem or this symptom is so complex that one person will not be able to solve it. So we have to establish a small team with the right competencies, the right skill set, and we'll discuss that when we discuss the first discipline. Second discipline is about describing the problem. So we're going to create a problem statement, we're going to do a good problem description, and we're going to start looking at possible causes of the problem. So there's a lot of work to do in discipline number 2 or phase number 2, and there are several tools that we can use or that will help us to do so. Phase 3 or discipline 3 is then about developing interim containment actions. Now, what does that mean? That really means to, as I say, stop the bleeding. Is there something we should do fairly quickly to protect, for example, the internal or external customer from continuously experiencing the problem or the symptom that initiated this project? So are there any things we need to do like inspection or like purging inventory or maybe adding some headcount temporarily to make sure that we're stopping the bleeding going to the customer? Once we have done that, then we can continue into the fourth discipline where we're thinking about, okay, how can we now define and verify the root cause and something that we call escape points. And we're going to talk more about what that means. What are the escape points in your process? Once we have defined and verified the root cause and the escape points, then we're going to think about choosing and verifying permanent corrective actions. That will be the fifth discipline. And then once we have chosen and verified the corrective actions, then we're going to implement them. And once we implement them, we want to make sure that we validate that they're really effective and efficient. And once we have done that, we want to think about preventing recurrence in this process or with respect to this problem, or make sure that the problem doesn't reoccur, maybe because of other causes that could cause the same problem. And then once at the end, we're going to ramp it up or wrap it up, and we want to make sure we recognize the team. We are maybe documenting the whole project we did here, and also want to make sure we are recognizing individual contributors, that folks that maybe were not part of your team but helped you a lot to actually go through this process successfully. So this is just a high level what those 8 phases or 8 disciplines are of the 8D problem solving process.